But also, Brian, we got the update here on consumer prices showing a rebound in June. And on that front, obviously, we've been looking into food costs and gasoline costs, really the big swing factors in that. But what jumped out to you when we look at prices moving ahead here?
Yeah, well, CPI is one of two measures that the Federal Reserve usually looks at to measure inflation. And there's a lot of concern about inflation right now. People arguing that maybe the Federal Reserve's unprecedented intervention during this COVID-19 crisis could lead to runaway inflation like in the 70s. But what we've seen from the CPI readings that were released this morning, at least for the most recent period covering the month of May, we haven't really seen that. So CPI, which, by the way, generally tends to overstate inflation relative to the other measure, which is PCE, had a year-over-year increase of only about 1.2%. And for anyone trying to understand a benchmark for where that is, the Federal Reserve's target for inflation is 2%. That's the level that the central bank finds is neither too stimulative nor too restrictive for economic growth. So at 1.2%, this is, again, in the depths of the recession, because it did cover that period of May where a lot of people were still inside and not able to spend that much. That shows that there really isn't a lot of inflationary concern, not necessarily deflation, but certainly disinflationary. So I think that's something that, if anything, the Federal Reserve might be looking to this data point and saying, this is actually an argument for us to continue the accommodative policy that we've been providing, or even provide more stimulus in the future if needed. So long story short, not seeing any sort of inflation from those CPI numbers, which again were released earlier this morning.
And who knows what that might do to putting the pedal to the metal when it comes to what we might see in phase 4 stimulus here, and what could feed on that front. But Brian Cheung already getting tweets here about questions about the Federal Reserve being a prison. So look what you've done here. There's also a car out there with an "End the Fed" bumper sticker.
It was Mark Wahlberg going, "I'm going to lock you up in the Federal Reserve." That was the other guys. Great movie.
All right, there we go. The update from Brian Cheung. Loves the Fed, hates the Fed at the same time, apparently, when we think about this discussion here.